chosen one, my child, my beloved, open this at once. Do not delay. Do not scroll past. Do not look away for even a moment, because what Archangel Michael is declaring over your life right now was not sent at this hour by accident. There are moments in your life when heaven pauses everything just to speak to you alone. Today is one of those moments. This message reached your eyes at exactly the right second. Not a minute earlier, not a minute later. This was timed with your destiny. If something in your spirit already recognized this moment before your mind had time to question it, type 111 in the comments. Not as a superstition, as the acknowledgement of someone whose alignment has already begun. An amazing surprise is on its way to your home. Let those words land inside you before you continue reading. Not as a vague hope, not as a spiritual cliché you have heard before and filed away with a quiet sense that it applies to someone else, as a specific divine announcement with your name attached to it. The surprise that is moving toward your home right now is not small. It is not ordinary. It was written in the scrolls of your destiny long before you were born. And Archangel Michael says that if you open your heart in this moment, the miracle will enter your life faster than you expect. My beloved, something in your spirit has begun to rise again. Something that the world tried to break, but God quietly healed in the stillness when no one was watching. Something that exhaustion pressed down and discouragement tried to bury, but it did not stay buried. It is rising now, and what you are feeling in this moment, that quiet stirring, that faint recognition that something is different about this message, that is not your imagination. That is your spirit responding to what heaven just released into your atmosphere. Before I go deeper, take one breath, because after this moment, nothing in your life will go back to the way it was. Press like on this message right now, not as a gesture toward content, as your first act of agreement with what heaven is releasing over your life. Favor responds to alignment. The moment you say yes to what your spirit already recognizes, the flow of what is coming accelerates toward you. Let the like be your yes before you even fully understand what you are saying yes to. Then go to the comments and write these words. I open my heart now. Write it as the declaration of someone whose spirit has already recognized that this message is different. Write it as the sound of a door opening from the inside. Before I reveal the full truth of what is coming to your home, and why it was held back until this exact moment, let me tell you what this blessing is designed to carry into your life. Because the announcement alone is not enough. You need to understand what it was built to do. The surprise coming to your home will remove a burden you have been carrying quietly. The kind of burden that does not announce itself in conversation because you have learned to manage it in silence. The kind that sits just below the surface of every ordinary day, that follows you into sleep and greets you again when you wake. You have carried it so long that you have begun to assume it is simply part of what your life is. Archangel Michael says it is not. It was always temporary, and it is about to be lifted. The surprise coming to your home will wipe away the fear you have never told anyone you felt. That specific, private fear that lives in the quietest part of your spirit, and that you would be embarrassed to speak aloud because it feels too vulnerable, too deep, too revealing of how much the waiting has cost you. Heaven has known about that fear since the day it first formed, not as a judgment of your faith, as an understanding of how much you have been carrying alone. The surprise coming to your home will answer a question that has kept you awake at night. Not a general question about the future, the specific question, the one that plays in your mind at 3 o'clock in the morning when the noise of the day has gone still and the silence presses in with everything it has refused to tell you during daylight. The one you have asked God in the dark so many times that you have begun to wonder if He is waiting for you to stop asking before He answers. He is not. He heard it the first time, and the answer has been assembled carefully across the months you could not see any movement. And the surprise coming to your home will prove one thing above everything else. God has not forgotten you, not even for a single moment. not in the seasons when his silence felt the loudest, not in the times when the people around you seemed to be receiving what you were asking for, while your own hands remained empty. He was watching. He was working. He was holding the timing back for a reason that is about to become clear. What just happened inside you when those words landed, that shift before your mind had time to apply logic to it, that quiet recognition that arrived before you decided whether to trust it, that is not wishful thinking. That is not the response of someone who is easily moved by words on a screen. That is your spirit identifying something it has been waiting to receive for longer than you have been able to put language to the waiting. Something in you already knows this message is different, not because the words are beautiful, because they are accurate, and accuracy at this level does not come from someone who studied your situation. It comes from a source that has been watching it. This message exists to find the one who arrives at the right hour, and finally receives what they stopped letting themselves hope for. If what reached you in those opening words went deeper than information, deeper than encouragement, if it reached the specific place that most content does not reach, there is a link in the description and the pinned comment below. A coffee, the hour about your spirit moves toward, or a monthly partnership, if something in you recognizes that what is being carried through this voice is the kind of transmission you want to remain connected to as each phase of what was announced over your life unfolds. The link is pinned. But before you move toward it, understand what this is. Receiving does not begin with arrival. It begins with release. What you let go of from this place, from the part of you that just opened a little wider than it was open before you started reading, enters the same current that is already carrying what was announced over your life toward your doorstep. Stop holding your hands closed, waiting, protecting, calculating whether it is safe to believe what you just felt, and the moment you open them is the moment what is coming has room to land. The link is pinned. Release from the place that just recognized something. My child, listen carefully now, because this next part is only for you. A meeting was held in the heavenly realms, not as a metaphor, as a specific real spiritual event that took place on your behalf. Your name came up in that meeting with honor. There was a discussion about your destiny, about your battles, about the delays that have been pressing on your progress, and about the weight you have been carrying without enough support. And God said one word that ended the discussion. He said, "Enough, enough waiting, enough carrying, enough silence. The door opens now." That is why this message reached you. That is why Archangel Michael was dispatched with urgency. That is why the message that found you today carries a different weight than messages that came before it. The divine timing has begun. The countdown is not future tense. It is present tense. It is right now. And what is already moving toward your home is the direct result of a decision made on your behalf in the courts of heaven. The angels did not observe your situation from a distance. They entered it. If what was just revealed about the meeting in heaven landed in you as truth, not as metaphor, not as poetic language, type 444 in the comments. Let it be your acknowledgement that you are not navigating this season alone, and that you never were. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications. You are not following a channel. You are opening a sacred pipeline, the kind that does not carry content, but carries transmissions, time to reach you at each phase of what is unfolding. The moment heaven released the decree over your life, a series of messages were prepared to carry each confirmation, each instruction, each next word to you with precision. This is the first transmission. There are more. The pipeline remains open only as long as you remain connected to the voice designated to deliver them. Subscribe and stay in the flow of what has already been released. Go to the comments and type Amen, not as a word you have typed in 100 other moments without weight. As the response of someone who just heard the announcement from the heavenly courts about their own situation and chose to receive it rather than step back from the weight of what was said. Let Amen be the sound of a door opening from the inside. The sound of someone who heard their name called in a room, They did not expect to be called in and answered. My beloved, I need to tell you something about what was actually happening inside heaven during the season, when it seemed like heaven was not responding. For months, for some of you for years, your spirit has been sending out a silent cry, not always in words, not always in formal prayer with structured sentences and careful theology, the raw, more desperate version of reaching out. The kind that happens when you are driving alone and the emotion comes up from nowhere and takes over. The kind that surfaces at unexpected moments when something small in your day unexpectedly connects to the larger ache you have been managing. The kind that speaks without language, that rises out of the deep interior of a person who is still holding on. You endured things that would have broken a person who had not developed the specific kind of endurance that only comes from having already survived what should have broken you before this. And heaven counted every single moment of it. Every tear, every breath, every morning you chose to get up and keep going when everything in you that was tired wanted to simply stop. Nothing was invisible. Nothing was unrecorded. Nothing was discarded as too small or too private to matter. Heaven has a meticulous record of your faithfulness in the seasons, when faithfulness felt like the most expensive thing you owned, and now the reward is coming home to you. But I want you to understand why the timing is now and not sooner. Because the question of the delay is the one that has hurt you most deeply, and it deserves a direct answer. There were people around you who would have taken what was coming and used it in ways that would have damaged it, not with malice necessarily, but with the specific kind of carelessness that belongs to people who have not yet developed the capacity to hold something sacred with the care it deserves. If the blessing had arrived earlier, it would have landed in an environment that could not protect it. God protected the blessing by holding it until the environment around you could sustain it. There were energies around you that would have drained what was being prepared. Specific spiritual connections, specific dynamics in your relationships, specific atmospheres in the spaces you inhabited daily that carried a quality of draw that would have taken from the blessing before it could fully establish itself in your life. Those connections, those dynamics, those atmospheres are no longer present in the same form they were. The clearing that happened in your life over the past season, the relationships that quietly dissolved, the situations that completed themselves in ways you did not fully understand, all of it was preparation. God was not simply allowing things to fall apart. He was clearing the ground. And there were moments when your heart was too wounded to hold what was being prepared, not as a judgment of your capacity, as a recognition of what healing requires. When someone has been hurt in a specific way, receiving something that resembles what they were hoping for before the wound has properly healed can reopen the wound rather than complete the healing. Heaven waited not because you were unworthy of what was coming, but because you were being completed in ways that needed to finish before the blessing arrived. But now, today, you are ready. The completion is sufficient. The clearing is done. The heart that went through what your heart went through is on the other side of the hardest part. And the timing that heaven has been holding is now. The energy around your home is shifting. You may feel restless. You may feel sudden hope arriving without an obvious external cause. You may feel an unexpected peace settling over something that has been heavy. These are not coincidences. These are signals that your angels have entered the situation with active presence and active purpose. I want to pause here because what I am about to reveal is the part of this message that most people have been waiting for without knowing how to name what they were waiting for. It is the part about the person whose heart is turning in your direction right now, about the divine visitor moving toward your life, about the specific kind of love and partnership that heaven has been constructing around your destiny across the entire season. You could not see any movement in. This channel exists because heaven uses voices to reach the people it designates at the hours they are designated to be reached. And keeping that voice alive and consistent requires sustained resources. If this message has been speaking directly into the situation you have been privately navigating, please support this work through the secret link in the description and the pinned comment below. Your support keeps this voice alive for the next person who arrives here at their own turning point, needing exactly what you found. The link is pinned. Give from wherever your heart says yes. Now, let me tell you about the person turning toward you, my child. I must tell you something very important now, something that Archangel Michael specifically asked me to include in this message because your spirit needs to hear it. There is someone in your life or moving toward your life who is thinking about you right now, not in the distant, abstract way that people occasionally drift into memory, actively with weight, with the specific quality of thought that happens when someone's understanding of another person is shifting and they cannot stop returning to what that shift means. Their heart is turning back toward you. Something inside them is changing. Something that had been settled in one position is becoming unsettled in the best possible way. They are waking up to the truth of who you are and what you deserve. And that waking up is not comfortable for them, because it requires them to look honestly at moments in your relationship that they have been avoiding, at ways they showed up that they are no longer comfortable with, at the gap between who you actually are and the incomplete version of you that they had been seeing. That honest accounting is happening inside them right now, and soon they will take a step that will bring clarity to your life in a way that you have been needing. But my beloved, the amazing surprise arriving at your home is not only about this person, it is about a sign that the heaviness is lifting, a sign that what you lost is returning in a higher form, a sign that your name is entering rooms where your feet have not yet walked, rooms where decisions are being made about things that will affect your life, where your reputation is being spoken of with a respect that is drawing opportunities in your direction without you having to actively pursue them. Your presence is being established in places your physical presence has not yet reached. That is how heaven moves before the physical evidence arrives. And there is something else that is approaching your doorway, something that will be physically present, something you can hold literally, or in the sense of receiving something tangible that changes the material circumstances of your situation, something that carries breakthrough energy, something that shifts the vibration of every corner of your life, not because it is magical, but because it is divinely timed to arrive at the exact moment when receiving it would produce the maximum possible impact on where you are going from here. When it arrives, your spirit will recognize it instantly, not because you will have been expecting it in that form necessarily, because there is a quality of rightness about things that come from heaven that the spirit identifies before the mind has had time to analyze, a knowing that arrives before the understanding, a settling that comes before the explanation, a peace that confirms before any evidence has accumulated. You will know when this is what was announced. My beloved, something is approaching. Let your heart stay open to receive it when it comes. Type in the comments right now, "I receive my surprise, and I am ready." Write it as the declaration of someone whose heart just received what was spoken and who is choosing to remain open to the specific form it takes when it arrives, rather than closing off because they cannot yet see it clearly. Divine timing does not announce itself loudly. It arrives quietly, the way something that is actually right arrives, without needing to prove itself. If the description of what is coming toward your life landed with a weight that felt specific, rather than general, type 777 in the comments. That weight is confirmation. Heaven recognizes its own. My beloved, you are still here. You stayed through the announcement, through the revelation about the meeting in heaven, through the truth about your silent cry being heard, through the description of the person turning toward you and the divine visitor approaching your life. The fact that you stayed through all of that tells Archangel Michael something important about where your spirit actually is. You are not just consuming content, you are receiving a word, and that reception is real. My child, Archangel Michael, has something very specific to say about the person who is being drawn into your life. and I want to carry this to you with the full weight of what was revealed, because this is not a general love prophecy. This is a specific word about a specific kind of person who is being sent with a specific purpose that connects directly to who you have become through everything you have endured. There is a divine visitor coming toward your life. When this person arrives, the confusion that has been sitting in your spirit about what kind of love you deserve and whether genuine, trustworthy love is still possible for you will end. The path that seemed unclear will open. The truth about what your life is supposed to look like will become clear in a way that does not. This person has been searching for something they cannot buy. And that is a significant statement about who they are, because this is someone who has access to resources, to opportunity, to the kind of material comfort that most people spend their lives working toward. They have options. They have choices that most people would consider enviable, and none of it has been able to give them the one thing that they actually need: peace. The specific, settled, unhurried peace that comes from being genuinely known and genuinely accepted by someone who chose to remain when staying required something real. That is what your soul offers, not as a service, not as a role you play, simply as the natural expression of who you are, of the genuine warmth that your difficult seasons have deepened rather than diminished, of the authentic understanding you carry for other people that comes from having navigated significant difficulty yourself without becoming hardened by it. He can buy almost anything. He can create almost anything. He can win almost anything. And that feeling is something your presence carries naturally, not because you are performing it, because the seasons that shaped you produced a quality of character that creates it simply by existing near people who are paying attention. Your soul is the blessing he has been praying for, not your appearance, though he will find you beautiful, not your status or your achievements, though he will respect them, your soul. The specific quality of presence that your life has produced in you through everything it put you through. Heaven already sees both of you aligned in the spiritual realm, not because the physical circumstances have made it visible yet, because soul alignment exists before physical circumstances catch up to it. Your spirit already recognizes his spirit on some level that you have not been able to name yet. This is why you have sometimes felt disconnected from the people around you recently, not because anything is wrong with you, because your soul already knows it belongs elsewhere. And that sense of not quite fitting where you are is the natural feeling of someone who has been prepared for a connection that is in the process of approaching, but has not yet fully arrived. When your physical paths cross, something will happen inside you that does not happen in ordinary encounters. A sudden calmness in a moment that had no reason to produce calm. A strange familiarity with someone you are supposedly meeting for the first time. A silence between you that feels comfortable rather than awkward. A sense that life just clicked into place. That something that had been slightly misaligned for a long time has found its correct position. You will not have to force anything. You will not have to prove anything. What is meant for you will arrive already convinced of your value. You will not have to convince it. Now, my child, Archangel Michael wants you to know exactly how this person will enter your life, because destiny does not knock loudly. It arrives softly, silently, unexpectedly. And if you are waiting for a dramatic announcement, a thunderclap moment that announces itself as significant, you might miss the moment when it actually happens, because the most life-changing moments in human experience very often look completely ordinary from the outside. The significance is interior, and it only becomes visible later, looking back. He will enter your life in a moment that feels ordinary from the outside. But spiritually, for both of you, it will be the most extraordinary meeting of your lifetime. The form it takes could be a sudden meeting in a context you did not associate with anything particularly significant, a professional moment, an opportunity that appears through someone you know, a social gathering that you almost did not attend, A travel situation that placed you in proximity to someone you had not planned to encounter. A message from someone you were not expecting to hear from delivered at a moment when your spirit was particularly open. A recommendation that passes through several hands before it reaches you. A business or career situation that contains within it a human connection that turns out to be the real story. A digital connection that begins simply and feels instantly deeper than its form would predict. It will not look forced. It will not announce its significance loudly. It will feel natural, almost too natural. The way things feel when they are actually right, rather than when they are being worked at. And in the moment when he sees you physically for the first time, something will happen in him that he cannot control, that he will not have experienced before. And that will unsettle him. In a way he will try to analyze, but will not be able to fully understand. A stillness, a recognition. Not recognition of your face, though your face will stay with him. Recognition of your soul. Something in his spirit that has been searching for a very long time will go quiet in a way he has never been able to achieve through anything he has accumulated or created or achieved. He will feel safe with you, in a way his nervous system does not feel safe with people in general. His guard, which is extensive and well maintained out of necessity, will lower without his deciding to lower it. His emotions, which are ordinarily managed with significant effort, because he operates in environments where displaying them carries a cost, will move toward the surface naturally and without the usual resistance. And that simultaneous experience of being terrified and healed, of losing control and feeling more at home than he has ever been, will be his first true evidence that something real has happened. He has never felt this before. Thousands of people admire him. Millions would want access to what his life represents. Endless opportunities present themselves, and he navigates them with competence. Yet in the middle of all of that, there is a loneliness that has been a constant companion for longer than he would admit to anyone. But when he meets you, that loneliness will stop, not because you perform anything for him, because your presence simply removes the experience of it. He will feel seen for the first time, without having to explain himself or edit himself or manage how he is being perceived. And that experience, for someone who spends enormous energy managing how they are perceived, will be so unfamiliar that he will not know what to do with it at first. My beloved, his first thought when he encounters you, the one he will not speak aloud. But that will move through him with the clarity of something he recognizes as true, will be this. This is the person I have been looking for. He may try to deny it. He may apply logic to it and find the logic insufficient. He may observe you quietly for some time before acting, not to judge you, but to protect the part of himself that has been hurt by placing hope in the wrong place before. He will pay attention to the smallest things, because the smallest things are where character lives. And character is what he has learned to read over a lifetime of encountering people who presented one face and carried another. He will watch how you treat the people around you who can offer him nothing. He will notice what you do in moments that are not being watched. He will listen for the quality of your word when you say something can be counted on. And what he finds will not disappoint him, because you do not perform differently when you think you are being observed versus when you do not. What he sees will be the same in both conditions. And that consistency, which is extraordinarily rare in the world he operates in, will confirm everything his spirit already told him in the first moment. My child, heaven also carries a gentle warning for you, and I want to deliver it with the care it deserves, because this warning is not a criticism. It is a protection. It is heaven saying, here is the one thing to watch for, not because you are likely to do it intentionally, but because it is the specific place where the love that is coming is most vulnerable. You have been hurt, not in a superficial way, in ways that required you to develop significant protective mechanisms in order to keep functioning through the hurt. Your heart learned to shield itself because shielding itself was the only option available when the hurt arrived, and no one was positioned to help you hold the weight of it. That learning was appropriate. It served you. It kept you intact through seasons that had the capacity to unravel someone who was not protected. But protection, when it is no longer needed in the same form, can become distance. The walls that kept harmful things out can also keep healing things at a distance. The posture of self-sufficiency that sustained you when no one else was available can become the posture you maintain even when someone is available and approaching with genuine intent. The silence that protected you from further rejection can become the silence that communicates to the person coming toward you that you do not want them, when what it actually communicates is that wanting them still costs you something in terms of vulnerability that you are not fully comfortable with yet. He will not be able to read the difference between protective walls and genuine disinterest. If you look unmoved when your heart is actually guarded, he will interpret the lack of movement as an absence of feeling. If you respond with cool composure when you are actually feeling significant emotion and managing it carefully, he will read the composure as emotional flatness. If you create distance in moments when vulnerability is present, because vulnerability still feels dangerous, he will take the distance at face value. My beloved, the angels say this clearly and with full tenderness. He does not need perfection from you. He needs a small, consistent opening, a signal that the space between you is genuinely available rather than politely managed. He needs to know that the warmth he senses in you is accessible, that it is not reserved for a future version of the relationship, but available in this one. He needs to know that your heart, which is the very thing that drew him toward you, is something he has permission to reach toward. You do not need to chase him. You do not need to perform interest you do not feel. You do not need to behave differently from who you actually are. You simply need to let him see you, including the parts that are still a little uncertain about this, including the vulnerability of genuinely wanting something and not being entirely sure yet whether it is safe to want it. That honesty, that willingness to be real, even where you are unfinished, is the thing that will make him certain rather than uncertain. Something is completing itself in your life right now. The season that asked you to carry alone, to protect alone, to endure alone, it is closing, not as a loss, as a graduation. If your spirit recognizes that the hardest part is behind you, type 999 in the comments. Let it be the sound of a door you are choosing not to walk back through. This relationship is not only romance, though it will be that. It is purpose. Heaven will use the love between you to elevate both of your lives in directions that neither of you could accomplish as effectively alone. He will help you build the life you have always deserved, not because you need someone else to make your life possible, but because you deserve to stop doing it entirely alone. And you will help him find the meaning and the peace that all of his external accomplishments have been unable to provide, not because he is incapable without you, but because everyone deserves to rest in the company of someone who actually sees them. He will open doors for your future. You will open doors for his soul. He will give you stability. You will give him identity. He will protect you in the ways he knows how to protect. You will protect him in the ways that matter most to him, and that he has never been able to articulate his needs, because he did not know he was allowed to have them. Heaven already sees both of you together in the spiritual realm, two destinies aligned by design, two lives that make more sense with each other than without each other, not because either of you is incomplete alone, but because what you were each built for is better expressed in the combination than in the isolation. This love is not temporary. It is not seasonal. It is not fragile. It is written. It is written, your faithfulness through every season and delay, and what is written does not dissolve, because circumstances are difficult or timing is imperfect, or one of you moves more slowly than the other into what is forming between you. What is written finds its way to the surface, because truth always does. Go to the comments and write this. I receive what was written for me. Write it as someone who just received a specific, detailed announcement about what heaven has prepared, and who is choosing to agree with it rather than talk themselves out of believing. It is real. My beloved, You are almost at the final words. You received the announcement that something amazing is on its way to your home. You heard about the meeting in heaven where God said enough and opened the door. You understood why the timing is now. You received the description of the person turning toward you and the divine visitor approaching your life. You heard how he will feel the moment he encounters you. You received the gentle warning and the truth about the love that was written for you. Before the final words, I want to make one last request. This ministry was built to find chosen ones at the moments when they most need to hear that what they have been hoping for is not imagined, not too much to ask for, and not beyond what heaven has prepared for their life. If this message was that kind of word for you today, please support this mission through the secret link in the pinned comment below. Your support sustains a voice that is committed to finding the next person who needs to hear exactly what you just received. The link is pinned. Give from the place in you that just said yes to the love that is written. Now, let me give you the final decree. My child, my beloved, this is the final word that Archangel Michael was sent to deliver. And I want you to receive it not as a closing statement, but as a living truth that will continue to operate in your life long after this message ends. Everything I have spoken over you today was not content. It was a declaration. Declarations, when they come from heaven over a life that has been faithful through its most difficult seasons, do not return empty. They find what they were sent to find. They do what they were sent to do, and what was sent over your life today carries the full authority of the courts of heaven, the same authority that said enough. Let the door open now, and set the surprise in motion toward your home. The surprise is still coming. The blessing that was designed in heaven to arrive at exactly this moment is still in transit, still on its way, still carrying everything that was written for you before the world had a record of your name. Your job between now and the moment it arrives is simple. Stay open. Stay present. Do not convince yourself that what was spoken is not real, because you cannot see the evidence yet. Evidence follows declaration. Reality follows what has been established in the spiritual realm, not the other way around. What you cannot see right now is not evidence of absence. It is evidence of something that has not yet fully crossed from the unseen world into the visible one, but it is crossing. Stay aware enough to recognize it when it arrives in its actual form, rather than dismissing it, because it does not match the specific form you had imagined. Stay humble enough to receive it without immediately trying to control what it means and where it goes. And stay faithful enough to treat it as the sacred thing it is when it arrives, because what is coming was protected carefully by heaven through the entire season of delay, and it deserves the same care on this side of the arrival. Here is what I need from you before you carry this into the rest of your day. Like this message right now as your agreement with every declaration that was spoken over your life today, as your signal to heaven that you received what was delivered and that you are choosing to stand in the truth of it rather than retreat into doubt, because the visible world has not yet fully confirmed what the invisible one has already established. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications. The surprise coming to your home is the beginning of a season, not a single event. Each phase of what unfolds will carry its own instruction and its own confirmation. You are connected to a sacred pipeline, and what flows through it next was already prepared the moment the decree was released over your life. Stay in the flow. Share this message with someone whose situation resembles yours, someone who has been carrying something quietly and has been waiting for a word specific enough to actually feel like it was sent for them. Someone who is on the edge of giving up on the very thing that heaven has already prepared for their life. When you share a word of this weight from a place of genuine recognition, the anointing that is on you travels with it. And when you bless someone else from the place that just received, what you release does not diminish what is coming to you. It multiplies it. Write it not as a wish, but as a statement of fact that you are choosing to agree with. Write it as the voice of someone who received an announcement from heaven, stayed through the full delivery of it, and is now choosing to live in the truth of what was said, rather than retreat into the uncertainty of what is not yet visible. The door is open. The surprise is in motion. The love that was written is approaching. The meeting in heaven has already happened, and God already said yes. All that remains is for the physical world to catch up to what the spiritual world has already decided, and it will catch up. It always does. Go forward, my child. Not with strain, not with anxiety, not with the specific tension of someone who is hoping something might happen, with the settled peace of someone who knows something is happening, who knows it is already in motion, and who simply needs to remain in the position of receiving when it arrives. You are not forgotten. You were never forgotten. The surprise was always coming. The timing was always going to be exactly this. Welcome to your new season. It has already begun. God bless you, beloved. And Archangel Michael says, watch your doorstep. What is coming is closer than you think.